Hello YouTube, vinyl community and record collectors out there. This is Retro Nostalgia Fan, and I'm not even done with my record collection yet. I know I sound like an insane person. But anyway though, we got some more records to show. I got like a lot more. Nah, I'm just kidding. We got quite a few though to go through. Anyway, let's begin with part 2 of my 51 subscriber. And like I said in my first part of the video, thank you very much for you guys for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate the support. Anyway, let's get on to the video. Anyway, this is a UK mono pressing of More of the Monkeys. This is laminated jacket. It's a mono Decca pressing. Well, it's made by Decca, but actually the label is RCA Victor. It's laminated, which I like. I want to get more of these UK monkey pressings, because the Monkees are a great band. Even though they were kind of a rip-off of the Beatles, as we know, Headquarters was the first album where they really showed their actual talents. Here, there's some of that, though, here a little bit. Mainly with Mike, though, in particular. But this is a great, great song. Very good album. Alright. There's More of the Monkeys. Alright, here's my upgraded copy of Bachman Turner Overdrive Not Fragile. Same US first pressing, just in better condition. And I eventually showed it, and now I am. Alright. Here's another Bachman Turner Overdrive album. This is their 4th album, 4-wheel drive. The title track is really good. And Hey You is really good in the beginning, but the second half is just repetitive. The beginning is so good on the song, but the second half of that song is not that good. It's repetitive. There's some really good songs on here. I like Lowland. Yeah. This is also a gatefold. What's interesting, it has the original insert inside of it too, where you can also use as a replacement of a sleeve. Now here's another Associations album. My last Associations album in my collection. This is their last album before one of the members died from a heroin or drug overdose. In particular, it was this guy right here. This guy, sadly, he died from a drug overdose in, I believe, 72. It was sometime in the early 70s, which is sad. Really sad. Him right there. Him right there in particular. And this is a great album. Birthday, this is their last album until, I believe in the 80s, they had a little reunion album. And I can't remember the name of the album, but it came out, oh no, it came out in the sometime in the 70s. I don't know what it was called, but it has like the, like the stones around each other, like actual stones. Can't remember what the album was called. But it was from the 70s. It's not their original lineup of music. This is from the original era of the Associations. Again, if you love the Beach Boys' harmony, I recommend this band. I recommend their first 4 albums. This is their 4th and final album until the Greatest Hits album came out a year after. And then there's one more album that came out as a soundtrack, but there's also that doesn't count though. And then there's an actual last final album that came out in the late 70s or mid 70s, or sometime in the 70s. But this is a good album. I think this is my favorite out of the albums. This or Windy. That's another good song. Good album too. All right. So Birthday by the Associations. Alright, and then the last Pink Floyd album, Piper the Gates of Dawn. No, this is not an original pressing. Original pressing would have an EMI logo, and the jacket would be laminated with flipbacks. But what's it? This is the 2014 or 13, I believe. Oh, it's 2016. I'm off. I'm an idiot. Anyway, this is a 2016 stereo UK pressing from 2016, and this one sounds really good. It has the recreation flipbacks, which were on the originals. That's really cool. Really cool. It's not the actual flipbacks. It's just a printed ink variation of it where it visually looks like it's there, but it's not actually there, if you know what I mean. But when I was in Arizona last spring, I actually found a UK mono first pressing of this in horrid condition. But I was like, damn, that's amazing. It was going for $150, and it had scratches. I was like, who's gonna pay that much for that? Even though it's a rare album, I'm not obsessed. I used to love this album a lot. This used to be my favorite Pink Floyd album, but over time, The Wall became my favorite Pink Floyd album, and I'm not a big fan of the debut as much. I love Astronomy Domain and Power Talk H is great. Take Up the Stethoscope and Walk is great. Lucifer Sam is great. Bike is fun. The Scarecrow. And Stellar Overdrive is a classic. Great instrumental. I love the beginning of it. Alright. Then we get the Buckingham's Greatest Hits. This is the only Buckingham's album. This is the band that wrote the song Kind of a Drag, which you've seen in my previous video, part 1 of this album collection, where I mentioned this band and the song Kind of a Drag, which is actually the last song on the whole album, ironically. There's the back of it. Shows other albums you can get from them. This is a really good band. I think another good 60s band. I like Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. Great cover. Back in Love Again. Don't You Care is a fantastic song. I love that song. Why Don't You Love Me is fun. A little fun, swingy jazz song. Hey Baby, they're playing our songs, very charming. And Our Love is really good. Back in Love Again. Claudie Miss Claudie. A little silly song, but it's a fun little song. And then we get Eagles' Greatest Hits. I'm not a big Eagles fan, but I like some of their songs. I like this album, though. Great Grassroots Greatest Hits. I love the Greatest Hits album for Grassroots, but I actually want to get one of their earlier albums from the 60s. The one with, Let's Live for Today. That's the album's called. I want to get Let's Live for Today. That's a great album from this band. And I love Grassroots. This is their greatest hit. Great compilation, too. I think I might be making a part 3 for this, by the way, too. We got Steppenwolf Gold, which is awesome. Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? Now, this is a 2014 reissue, but it was actually used with its original American first pressing analog tape, master tape from 1967, which is awesome about this reissue. They used the original master tapes for this reissue, so I think that's really awesome, not gonna lie. Wish more pressings, more reissues nowadays would do that instead of digitalizing. I prefer analog mastering on albums than digital resources used on a remaster. But yeah, this is actually used with the original analog tape, which this is awesome. I didn't know that until now. Alright, we get some Animals. We get a couple British Invasion stuff. We get the Animals. This is a interesting album. This is kind of like an Eric Burdon solo album, but it's kind of like how Beach Boys Love You was more of a Brian thing rather than a Beach Boys album. Like that, this is all just basically Eric Burdon singing, and ironically, none of the Animals are actually playing any instruments in this album. It's only an orchestra, which, it's Benny Golson's orchestra and the Horace Ott, Horace, I believe. It says it right there, Horace Rott. Yeah, this is an interesting album, but it's a really good album. If you like Pet Sounds, I think you would like this album. This is basically Eric Burdon trying to pull a Pet Sounds with the instrumentation. It has an orchestra, and it's Eric just working on these himself without actually any of the members. This only was an American LP. I've never seen this it's never came out in England, ironically, which is ironic because Eric Burdon's from England. But I think this is a really fun album. There's a couple Randy Newman covers. There's a Mama Told Me Not to Come cover, which is a great cover. I actually like how he sings it. And then there's Wait Until Next Year. He's trying to sound like Randy, and I don't like it. It sounds corny. But other than that, the rest of the album's good. Here's Dave Clark 5. This is a great compilation album. It's an original pressing from 1965 or 66. It's great. I love Dave Clark 5. And here's another compilation, The Best of the Animals. Great compilation album, but it's digitally resourced. But I don't mind it. It's nice to have it. Journey, Escape. This is my only Journey album I have. This is a great album. I love Escape. The best Journey album ever. Now we get some good Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 4, this is another great one. This is a 2015 Jimmy Page reissue. It's digitally resourced, but it sounds pretty good. Usually, I still want to get an analog pressing of it. Donovan's Greatest Hits. This is a gatefold. Mamas and the Papas. If you can believe it, believe your eyes and ears. If you can believe your eyes and ears is a really good album. This is probably the best album from the band. It's the most iconic. Jethro, this is a 1980s US pressing of Living in the Past by the Jethro Tull. 2 discs. I've seen original pressings of it. It's actually going for a lot of money. Another Monkees album, Birds and the Bees and the Monkees. I don't have Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Jones Limited anymore because my copy was in beat up shape. I gave it to a friend. So I just have this album, Headquarters, and more of the Monkees. I also have their debut, but I'm going to get an upgrade on those 2 albums. In particular, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Jones Limited. The Greatest Hits, the Rascals' Greatest Hits, Time and Peace. This is a great compilation album. Also a gatefold. The Last Animal album, Eric Burdon's The Greatest Hits of Eric Burdon the Animals. This is a compilation of the late era. If you know the Animals, you know the early era more likely. Like songs like House of the Rising Sun, Gotta Send You Back to Walkers, Baby Let Me Take You Home, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, and It's in My Life, or Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Those are the most common Animal songs you hear. But in 1967 or 66 actually, a couple of the members quit because they had other projects going on, or they just wanted to go into a solo career. The keyboardist, the original keyboardist, Alan Price, actually quit in 1966 just because, well, it was his last year at the band, but he quit because he actually wanted to do a solo career. And he did. It was called, his solo career, his name was the Alan Price Set. And he got other members. And then there was also Joe. I can't remember his last name, but I think his name is Joe. He's the let me see if I have the other album. Trying to see right there. Yeah, Alan Price right there. And I think his name is Joe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Joe Walker. I can't remember his name, but let me know if you know in the comments if you know what his name was. But he was getting ready to help. He had projects in the music career, trying to be a producer, and he helped work with Jimi Hendrix. So then Eric Burdon got 2 other members, and then eventually there was and then another member. This guy right here, he also left the band. Only these 2 stayed together throughout the late era. The other 3 members left. They didn't get back until 1983's album, Noah's Ark. Or it's just called Ark. The Animals Ark. But this is a great compilation album. It has a great cover of Tina Turner's River Deep Mountain High, San Francisco Night, Sky Pilot, Monterey, White Houses, Winds of Change, great psychedelic song. And then To Love Somebody, which is probably the only song I don't like. just because it's kind of a. I mean, I love the guitar riff in the beginning. It has that Jimi Hendrix vibe to it, but it's Eric and his girlfriend singing together, which it's a beautiful, charming thing. But it really, it's a Bee Gees, early Bee Gees, and early Bee Gees are not really that iconic. That's like their most iconic song at the time was "To Love Somebody," but not a lot of people really cared about Bee Gees until the '70s when the disco era came, like Jive Talkin' and Stand in the Line, yeah. All right, now we got some Kinks. This is a Canadian 1969 pressing of their second album, Kinda Kinks. This album has the UK track listing. The US version did have the UK track listing on Rhino reissues in the 80s, but the original version did not have a couple songs from it. They replaced it with other songs. But yeah, this is a low budget pressing. I want to get an upgrade copy of this. It's in like very good condition. Alright, we got some Who. I'm going to show all my Who albums, and then I'm going to conclude this video. And part 3 is just going to be Rolling Stones and Beatles. Maybe other albums if there is. There's Who, Quadrophenia, Back to the Who. Great album. Does not have the booklet, but it isn't. It is an original pressing on Track Records. The US version, not the UK version. Here's Odds and Sods, another US first pressing. There's a pop on the very last track, Long Live Rock. But other than that, the rest of the record plays great. Has lost recordings. Who by Numbers, this is an original American pressing. Somebody, previous owner, drew on this, but they did a pretty good job on it, to be honest with you. I heard actually later UK pressings did show the lines connecting the dots, which it's fascinating. I like this cover, I really do. And then we get the Tommy soundtrack, not the original Tom. I want to get the original Tommy album, but I have this. This actually is really cool. And then we get 2 copies of Who Are You? This one I'll show the vinyl. I have an American pressing. Yep, this is an American pressing on black vinyl. Last album with Keith Moon. The last good Who album for a while. There's the record. First pressing, I believe. Yeah. Text. I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Alright, here's a Canadian pressing on red vinyl. I'm just going to show it because most of my albums are in black vinyl, but it's a Canadian pressing. It looks just like the American pressing. Just on the spine it says printed in Canada right there. Alright. And then I got 3 more albums before I conclude this video. We got Face Dances. Got a little cut right there because it was brand new when it was. This happens with albums that were expired and outdated when they were brand new in shrink wrap. So they get this treatment, which is stupid. I don't like it when they put this out of print little passage right there. Like cutting the spine, cut right here, the corner, pierce a hole right there, or do this right here. That's annoying. And that album definitely is not as good as the Keith Moon era, but speaking of it, this is a great debut. This is a mono pressing. This is a UK 1979 mono pressing of the Who's My Generation. It's on Virgin instead of Brunswick. Yeah, Brunswick Records. It's laminated too, which is really nice. It's a laminated front cover. Brunswick was part of Decca Records in the UK. It was a label on Decca Records. You can tell with the mono right there. That's the mono or stereo font right there identifies that this album was made by Decca originally. Like the actual company, not the label. But yeah, this is a little interesting fact. Great album. I do prefer the US track listing just because I don't like the song I'm a Man. It's not the Yardbird version I like, but not the Who version. The Who version, I like the second half. I don't like the beginning. Time for my man. That's why I think Roger sounds a little obnoxious. But he's probably having fun with the cover. And then finally, the last album I'm going to show you in this video, Who's Next. This is my favorite Who album. Great classic rock album. Again, this is one album that identifies rock and roll, classic rock. And this is a 2015 reissue. This one I found out is digitally reissued, but it sounds pretty good for a digital resource, to be honest. I want to get an original press, UK pressing of this album eventually. But yeah, this is a great album, no matter what. Who's Next? It has the track UK Track Records label too. Well, that concludes part 2, and part 3 is just going to be my Beatles and Rolling Stone albums, which I'll probably go really quick on. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for this little 51 subscriber collection video trilogy. And you have yourself a good day. Bye-bye.